Hello everybody, this is week 6 of GeoGuessr's weekend series, the competitive series that I have played every single week for the past, obviously, 6 weeks. The recording today is going to be exactly the same. 3 things: 1 duel, 1 battle royale distance, and 1 battle royale countries. The rules are the same, there's just a slight change, it seems, this weekend, whereby for the duel, there's no longer any matchmaking in terms of rankings, so I could get connected with someone much weaker or much stronger. But statistically, considering I'm not too bad, I'm not the best, but I'm not too bad, statistically I should be matched with someone a bit weaker. So let's see, fingers crossed, things should go well. As you can see, I've already played 7 of each of these different game modes. I can play up to 10 for the weekend to qualify whatever is going to happen next week, because it seems there's no week 7 in this first ever weekend series. As you can see, it's a better season. It's written here above weekend series. There's this cup and trophy. Currently, season standings, I'm at 268th rank, which is not great. Let's see if I can make it maybe in the top 200. After the series of 3 games today that I'm going to record, and then another 6 games that I'm going to do afterwards. All right, let's get started right away with a duel. So I'm going to be matched with one other player, and as I said, it's the same as always. We have 6,000 points. The first one who loses all their points loses the game. And the way you lose your points is if you're guessing a location that is too far away from the actual location. You get a certain number of points, and your opponent gets another set of points depending on their location and the distance. And the delta between these 2 points is the amount of points that you're losing. It's a bit confusing, but when you play, it's very clear. Don't worry. Let's click on this duel. If I know how to click with my left click on the mouse. All right, I am matched with someone who's fairly weak. 518 is not very strong. It's almost the average ranking that you get when you start playing. But let's not be too arrogant. We never know. I see a yellow license plate front and rear, and this is very likely the Netherlands. In this case, it looks anyway like the Netherlands, very flat, brick houses, and this is Dutch. My opponent has already guessed, so let's not waste any time and put a marker around Amsterdam. I have no idea where this is, so I'm going for Amsterdam. They thought it was London. Ooh, it was Maastricht. Don't know if I'm pronouncing correctly. Anyway, as you can see, they've lost points because I was closer to the actual destination. I say because I thought it was almost Belgium, but it didn't make sense. All right, we have driveways here. There could be it's white lanes on the road. Where's the sun? It's facing north, so we're likely in the southern hemisphere. It could be Australia with these white markings on the ground. It could even be New Zealand, actually, Station Road. Let's see the name here, transfer station. I'm thinking New Zealand Railway. Not too sure about that. Maybe I can find some extra information. Where is it? Is it written Auckland? Now, unfortunately, I lost my original video recording playing, so I'm going to do this voiceover as I'm watching the replay of what I was playing. So I'm looking for confirmation that this is indeed New Zealand. Fairly confident. The sun is pointing northwards on the compass. Here I recognize Maori language, or at least syllables. So I am very confident that this is New Zealand. Waverley Primary School doesn't tell me anything, so I'm going for New Zealand on the northern island, somewhere in the middle. Not exactly sure where this is. It looks populated, and I'm giving 15 seconds to my opponent to guess on their side what they think. So I can see the road, Wera Road. This sounds typically New Zealandish. And actually, my opponent guessed also New Zealand, although they went for the southern island. So I am closer, and they are losing points. So this is round 3. And the landscape is not telling me much, apart from the fact that the sun is pointing towards the south, so we are in all likelihood in the northern hemisphere. At this point, I'm thinking Poland maybe Latvia, maybe Lithuania. And the reason for this is the vegetation looks absolutely European. I have a doubt whether this is possibly Russia, but then I look at this building, I confirm, I see maybe an old ladder next to the tractor. So I'm really thinking Russia or Eastern Europe at this point. I see some birch trees on the side in the forest. It's not very densely foresty, so I don't think it's to Estonia. I actually don't remember as I'm doing this voiceover. A day after I did the recording, I completely forgot what my guesses were, but I'm trying to retrace my thinking. And I'm going, in this case, as I said at the beginning, for Eastern Poland. And giving about 15 seconds to my opponent so they can guess for themselves, and they go further south, and it's actually Estonia, so it was not a completely wild guess to go for Eastern Poland, but I did not persist with Estonia, even though I did mention it at some point. So here I'm looking on the side, the sun is pointing, it's not very clear where this is. I see the yellow lines, I see the mountains in the backdrop, which remind me of South Africa and the area around Cape Town, but this does not look like Table Mountain in Cape Town because you have these two series of mountains, left and right. And I think I was joking as I was recording this live that I don't drink alcohol, so I know I am not drunk and seeing double. There are actually two of these mountains. Now I'm trying to find on the truck right now if I can see any confirmation. I see this is color, so it's written in English, but whether this is Australia or South Africa, it could be the same. But again, the roads have these yellow lines on the side, so it's very likely South Africa. This dotted line in the middle, separated or sandwiched between those white lines, also tend to confirm South Africa. So I'm still going for Cape Town for lack of a better guess, forcing my opponent to guess as well. And it was indeed South Africa. They went for Kenya, but it was not around Cape Town. It was actually south of Pretoria, Johannesburg, and close to Lesotho. Now this round is the round when I can heal, that is, I get 25% of all the points I will score to try and get as many points back, but it's a bit silly because I have not lost any points, so I should have just hurried and made any guess since I cannot get more than the maximum points I already have. My opponent has guessed already, surprisingly, so I look at the vegetation, I'm thinking again South Africa in this case because of the red soil, and this time actually I went for Lesotho, and it was indeed in this landlocked country in southern Africa, and they went for Asia, so they almost didn't get any points. So I think this evokes, I see Chinese, so I'm thinking Taiwan because of what I see around, the yellow stripes, but then I have a slight doubt. I'm thinking maybe Malaysia, maybe Indonesia, maybe Thailand, because I see these urns, which may be typically from Taiwan. I see these stripes, red and yellow stripes at the bottom of the pole, so I'm thinking that's maybe Taiwan, but usually I see them black and yellow diagonal stripes. And here I find Jalan something, which means this is Bahasa, which is only spoken in Malaysia and Indonesia. So I'm not quite sure where this is. I'm thinking maybe on Borneo Island, and Borneo is separated at the north. This is Malaysia. At the south, it's Indonesia. So I'm going for the north because I think it's Malaysia. You can see in Borneo, there's also the country called Brunei, very close to where I put my guess, and I'm waiting for my opponent to guess at this point. 2 more seconds, and it is actually Malaysia. It is on the mainland, and they went for actually China, and that was wrong, so I've actually won this round, this duel. I get season points, I get a gold medal, because I get more than 70 points out of a possible 100 for this weekend series. So now we go for the second game, a Battle Royale distance. In this game, it's the usual rule. You have to guess as close as possible to where the photo is located, and the person who guesses the farthest is eliminated for the next round. So we start with 10 players, and we go all the way to one player at the end, eliminating the person who's farthest away. So now we're waiting for the room to fill up, for the server to fill up to 10 players. It's going to happen in just a second, and in 4 seconds we're playing and starting the game. Alright, so I'm looking where the sun is. It's pointing towards the south, so we're in the northern hemisphere. It reminds me right away of Andorra, stuck in the Pyrenees between Spain and France. Because of the stones, I see the euro sign for this real estate ad, so I'm thinking, yep, by very likelihood, it is indeed Andorra. I also did the exploration of Andorra la Vella, the capital city, and actually Andorra, in the explorer mode of GeoGuessr, so it does evoke me, this country, and here I have the confirmation. It's written in the Spanish, and it's written Andorra at the bottom. I actually don't know if it's exactly Spanish or a dialect in Andorra, but it's actually written in this blue circle. You can see it's written Andorra, so I have no hesitation. And you can see in the top right corner, I'm actually the second best guess. As long as I don't fall to the last place, I will be qualified for the next round. It was indeed Andorra, but not Andorra la Vella, not the capital city. It was another little village in this very, very small country, landlocked in the Pyrenees between Spain and France. Next round. So I see the little blue thing on the left of the license plate of both of these cars. So we're typically in the EU, the European Union, because most, if not all, of the cars in the EU have this little blue rectangle with the yellow stars of the EU. So I don't recognize the language exactly. I'm thinking Croatia, I'm thinking Czech, I'm saying Slovak, Slovenian. I never recognize exactly. I need more details. I see Cyrillic, so this confuses me. In this case, I'm thinking, well, hang on, this could be Bulgaria. But I don't recognize quite the Bulgarian language when it's not the Cyrillic. So I'm going for Sofia. It's not the best guess, but so far I'm in the middle of the pack. Clearly there's Cyrillic. Ulica, I don't know how you're pronouncing it in that language. Ulica in Polish means road, street, but it's also used in many other languages in Eastern and Central Europe. It was actually Montenegro, and that surprised me. I did not notice the rift in the sky. Usually the images from Google Street View have this rift in the sky, so you can very quickly guess it's Montenegro or Albania. But it's better to understand what the actual location is from the landscape around. I'm thinking Germany. In this case, it is indeed written in German. Lagerfläche zu vermieten. It means the area is for rent, open for rent. This blurred image makes me think it is Germany. It's almost only in Germany that, for privacy reasons, business owners and individual people request for their building to be blurred. I'm thinking Hamburg, because I saw in passing the public transportation sign for a bus with green H on a yellow background. So I'm going for Hamburg and not Berlin, which comes up very often in GeoGuessr. So I'm waiting a few more seconds. Nobody else has guessed. This means 200 automobiles secondhand, used cars, I suppose for sale. I'm the best guess so far, and indeed I was 1.7 kilometers from the actual spot. But that was a random guess. I just put in Hamburg. I assumed most people would, at least one individual out of the 8 people remaining would not have found it. So I'm fairly comfortable with my guess. Look at the sun. We're in the northern hemisphere because the sun is towards the south. I believe I'm thinking of this landscape as something Mediterranean. Something Spain, Italy, possibly Greece. I think I stick with Spain, maybe even Portugal. So I'm looking at the name here, Visoi, Garda. I'm not sure, and I'm actually hesitating for a while. And I think, and maybe I'm wrong, that actually the syllable EU, Visoi, I don't know how to pronounce it, is actually Portuguese. Garda, I guess, could be Spanish. I don't know. I don't speak actually any of these languages. So I go for Portugal. Fairly confident. I would say 70% confident. And for now, I'm actually the best guess. Look at the top right corner. Second best guess, but I should be qualified. And indeed, it was Portugal. So this was Portuguese in the northern part of Portugal. Now, 6 seconds left. We have 6 people remaining. As I explained, only one person will be eliminated for the next round. And this immediately makes me think of Singapore. Why? This little roof over the parking lot, the high-rise buildings, the stripes on the road, the vegetation, if you look at the trees, very typical of Singapore. One giveaway sign for Singapore, I've mentioned this in other videos, is the white lettering on green background for the road signs. They're all white on green with slightly rounded edges, corners. And in this case, I actually don't find any of these road signs yet, but I was very confident it was Singapore nonetheless, because you see this kind of architecture very often. The other telltale sign is when you see hump written on the road for a speed bump. It's written hump ahead, or hump, I don't remember, only, maybe. And indeed, I was a few kilometers away from the actual spot, but all within Singapore. So qualified, 5 people remaining. Only get points for this weekend series if I make it to the top 3. Cyrillic, okay, so this is already a helpful guess. License plate seems to be just white and fairly long. So thin and long, so this would mean it's very likely Russia. I don't see any other indication on the license plate. No red on the left side. I see an old Lada here. A red on the left hand side of the license plate would mean we're probably in Kyrgyzstan, so this is not the case. I'm going for Russia, and I'm thinking the western part of Russia, and not the eastern side, because I don't see very dense forests. There are quite a few buildings. The city is half dense, not super dense. Obviously, it's quite spread out, but that's typical of Russian infrastructure. The intersections are very, very large, and actually, it is western. The western part of Russia, but they're all at the south, so southwest, very close to Georgia. So I was actually very far away, more than 1,000 kilometers, but I still make it to the next round. Once again, right away, I'm thinking Singapore. It's written in English. The sign, 100 Singaporean dollars. The double yellow line on the side makes me think of Singapore. You'll recognize most likely the high-rise buildings, which architecture looks very similar to the Singapore guess we made just about 30 seconds ago or a minute ago. So I'm going to get in for Singapore. I'm aiming for the same area because it looks very similar to what I just guessed a minute ago. So really nothing more to add. I'm just walking around here, trying to see if I see a street sign or find additional information in case my adversaries on this round are more accurate than I am. And I could be knocked out, not because it's not Singapore, but because they're more accurate than I am. So in this case, I'm just preparing my guess somewhere else in Singapore, just in case. But I'm in the middle of the pack of the 3 people qualified, and I make it to the podium. There are only 3 people, including myself. It wasn't in Singapore. I was not far away, 5 kilometers. Not exactly the same spot as previously, but not that far away either. This looks European. I'm thinking for a second, this is actually Polish. I see a reklama in the background, which means advertising. So we're in Poland somewhere. Also, the O with the accent, and this Kraków is also obviously a city in Poland, in southern Poland. So I noticed this is Road 79, and I'm searching for Road 79 around Krakow, and unfortunately I cannot find it. I'm looking at the direction, the compass, so we're going north towards the city, so I'm looking south of the city, but I cannot find that Road 79. So I'm just going for a spot close to the city. For now I'm qualified, as you can see. Still can't find 79. And actually it turns out that Road 79 was much further west. Or we were rather further west, leading to Krakow from the west side, Katowice. So I'm in the final. there's only one other opponent to try and get the maximum number of points. Now, I recognize the language. This is Sri Lankan, because all these rounds, which looks like potatoes and curls, and this is very typical of Sri Lankan. I haven't seen any other language basically which has similar script. So even though I don't speak the language at all, I recognize Sri Lanka. Now I'm trying to find another indication of where this could be within Sri Lanka, which is fairly big, and I cannot see the name of the station. Now, usually train stations in Sri Lanka have the English name, and I should have realized that it was maybe for a reason why I could not see the English name and it was all Sri Lankan, because probably that was not the most touristic area of Sri Lanka. So for now I'm the best guess, but I'm not very confident. I'm thinking of going, and now I'm the second guess. I have just 1 or 2 seconds to make another guess. I go for the south, which is more touristic, and that was a wrong guess. It was actually in the north. And I lose in the final because my opponent is closer than I am to the final spot. But such is life. I get 7 season points, not 10, for this competitive series. And I believe the north is a little bit less touristic than the south, or Colombo, or Kandy. But that's how it is. Next, I go to a Battle Royale countries. Now, in this case, I have to guess the exact country. And the person who does not guess the country gets eliminated, or if you guess the right country but too late, or because there's not enough spots left for the next round, then you're also eliminated. Now, each round, you have 3 lives and 90 seconds. Now, we have a lot of trees. Again, I'm thinking just like about 10 minutes ago. I'm thinking Eastern Europe, Lithuania, maybe Estonia, maybe Latvia. I'm not too certain. That's due to the vegetation. It looks very much like that. There's no borders on the roads. I'm thinking maybe this could be Russia, but I'm not 100% convinced. And as you can see, top right corner, I forgot, people have guessed already many countries. Latvia, Finland, Lithuania, Estonia, Norway, Canada, Sweden. It's none of these countries. So I'm thinking, heck, what is this? Maybe this is Poland in this case. I really have no idea. So I go with Russia has been guessed, and Germany. So I go with Hungary. This is wrong, because I remember Hungary is very green. So I see more guesses from other people. 3 people have already guessed. I'm going for Czechia. It's also wrong, so I'm starting to freak out, because if I make another guess, I will be eliminated, and I have the choice between Slovakia and Poland with my only 50-50. And I stress and I freak out and I choose Poland, and it's correct. So I make it to the next round, but I've lost my 50-50. Now, I already saved my bum at the last second on that one. It was a very close call. So hopefully I continue and I try to not lose. I don't have a 50-50 anymore. Looking for the sun, it's roughly in the northern side, so it's southern hemisphere. I'm thinking South America, based on the buildings and these electricity lines on top. I'm trying to find a clue of where this could be. I'm thinking Argentina, and yes, with these 90-degree angle road signs, it's very likely that it's Argentina or Uruguay. So I am picking Argentina. I am not validating my guess just yet. I'm waiting to see if other people are guessing, because if they guess wrong, I get to see the flags of the countries they have guessed wrongly in the top right corner. So as you can see, someone's guessed Mexico. This is not Mexico. You see these dustbins. I've seen these dustbins, elevated dustbins, mostly in Brazil, and I have a doubt whether it's Brazil. I see this old car. And I see someone's guessed Brazil just now, so I'm thinking, okay, that must be Argentina now. It's not Peru, someone's guessed Peru. So I'm going for Argentina, and it is indeed Argentina. Very close to Cordoba. So this dustbin, I need to remember, metallic dustbin, is actually also located in Argentina, not just Brazil. Or maybe I remembered wrongly if this was also in Brazil. All right, so I'm qualified. 6 people made it to the next round. Only 5 will make it at most if we guess correctly. So I zoom in, accepte, and I think, oh, this sounds French and Dutch, so this is Belgium. And yes, it is Belgium because I've also seen the license plate of the van, which is reddish. As you can see, it has the blue thing for the EU on the left, and it's slightly reddish because the Belgian license plates are red letters, red characters on a white background. So I see these tuk-tuks. I see this, I think of Thailand. I'm very confident it's Thailand because of the concrete road, which we see a lot of in Thailand. I'm trying to get some confirmation, but I see people driving on the right, and someone has guessed Thailand wrongly. So I go very quickly for Cambodia, and it is indeed Cambodia. Cambodia drives on the right-hand side of the road, and Thailand on the left-hand side. So it's very similar in terms of what you may observe, right? Rice fields. Now we get this Jesus statue, and I'm confused for about 5 seconds. What language is this? I'm thinking it's Polish because I know how to read Polish. I'm not sure. And then, okay, this must be Poland. Yes, of course it's Poland, and it is indeed. So I make it to the remaining 3 spots. And indeed, in Poland, from what I remember in my childhood, there are a lot of statues of the Virgin Marys and Jesus at various road intersections. So I made it to the podium. I'm among the 3 people remaining. I look around, and if you look at the building on the left, it really reminds me of Portugal. This is very typical, azulejos. There's kind of ceramic tiles on the buildings. So I'm trying to get another confirmation. I'm pinpointing on Portugal, and it is indeed Portugal. So I'm in the final. There's only one other person with me. Look where the sun is. Don't remember what I figured out. I believe it's... I'm thinking of Russia because I see a white license plate, and I lock my guess because they've locked their guess, my opponent. Unfortunately, it is Ukraine and not Russia. So I've lost in the final. In Battle Royale countries, I get 1 ranking in this ELO ranking, 870, and only 7 season points instead of 10. So that's it for this round for week 6. Thank you for watching.